Saturday, so it's me, Geordie Pete Redding on Hollywood Balls Live. There's no script today because Sue Gray can't get her Wi-Fi on. Welcome to Hollywood Balls. Okay, welcome to Soccer Saturday with me, Geordie Pete Redding. As always, today's episode is presented by Manscaped, and it's your last chance to utilise our special Hollywood Balls discount before Valentine's Day. Just log on to manscaped.com and use Hollywood Balls as your discount code to get 20% off. Free shipping as well, by the way. Okay, here we go. Coming up on today's show, a couple of legends in the house. As always, we're going to be looking at Watford and Everton and their transfer scenario. The transfer window, which me and the boys have just been discussing, is in its final throes. We've got our baller of the week, of course, and the DK Hot Sauce Predictions Challenge. Okay, speaking of challenges, legends in the house. First up, to say that he's of legendary status is an understatement, and it's not because he shares the same birthday as me. He's the ex-Bath and England tight head prop. Since retiring from rugby, he's been running his own company, VU Limited. It specialises in sports, travel and hospitality at major sporting events all worldwide. Bath Rugby for 11 seasons. Now get this, 5 premierships, 6 domestic cups, the League and Cup double on 2 occasions, first UK club to win the Heineken European Cup in '98, and believe it or not, Bath's top try scorer. I haven't finished. England, 24 caps, 1 Grand Slam, 2 World Cup squads, 95 and 99. I'm going for a lie down. Welcome, Victor Ubogu.
Hi,
How are you?
Hi, Kevin. Yeah, I'm all good. It's a bit blowy outside, though. But
It's blowy in here now. Absolutely brilliant. Kev, how are you?
I'm fantastic. And you know what? When you mention those squads and
Amazing.
stuff, I remember watching, because I'm a big rugby fan as well. I remember watching Victor do all his stuff and win trophies, and always had that smile on his face. Was always a good character around the squad. So, great to have him on.
And brilliant as well, because a lot of our family that watch, a lot of our viewers are all from Africa, and a lot of our Nigerian friends are tuning in today because obviously Victor grew up there. So it's of great interest to everyone who's watching. I'm going to start with rugby, Victor, because you're on the show. So let's kick it off. Six Nations is nigh. It's next weekend. A trip to the old enemy up to Scotland. So it's all. It's the best part, isn't it? It's the build-up to the big tournament. Everyone's saying who they fancy. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Who do you fancy?
England, of course. Of course, England. But it ain't going to be easy.
No.
As you say, that opening weekend up in Edinburgh.
Yeah,
that's a tricky one. I mean, the teams formed in the autumn series. I mean, that was an exciting autumn series, and Scotland are capable of beating England in Edinburgh. They've proven that in the past. They are a very, very good side. So I mean, England has to be at the top of the game to win away from home.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, isn't it? Because there are always standout fixtures in whatever sport you look at. But when you go Six Nations, everyone has its own history. Victor, you talk, England, Scotland, the old enemy, but then you've got equally, the Wales games as well. They're all just a fascinating melting pot and each one is as giant as the next.
Yeah, but that thing, because any one of those teams, Italy apart, can win home or away.
Yeah.
Even France, who are the form team, and if you talk to the bookies, they're the ones that I think should win the Grand Slam, but you just never know. Because Ireland on any day can beat any team. Scotland, on their day can beat any team. So can Wales, so can England, and so can France. So it's very, very difficult to predict.
Can't wait for it. Really looking forward to it. As I mentioned, a lot of Nigerian viewers in the house, so we'll start with that. You were brought up in Lagos, but then came over to the UK in '77. Am I right?
Yeah. I was indeed. And let me start from the beginning.
Go on.
I was born in Ajegunle, Lagos's most densely populated slum, with around 2 million people living shoulder to shoulder in sort of tiny, precarious shacks, assembled from corrugated wood, wood crates, iron, or anything people could find to nail together. I mean, it was typical African living, like any you might find in any village or shanty town across the continent. I mean, I arrived in the UK in the winter of '77 from bustling Lagos, 90 degrees, to snowdrifts on Exmoor. I mean, coming to the UK in 1977 was a major culture shock. And I remember my first rugby experience as a 13-year-old. I mean, I lasted all the 5 minutes, after which I was sent off. I was totally disrupted in the session because I didn't know the rules. Yeah. I mean, in Africa, the only game was soccer, and Pele was my hero.
Yeah.
And I was told to go learn the rules. And in fact, I mean, what I thought at the time was thank God above, because it was so cold out there.
I mean, I had to play rugby at school, much to my chagrin, as well as a football boy, I have to say. And even can you imagine coming across and saying, "Oh, not just deal with the snow and everything. Here's a rugby ball as well. Crack on with that."
I know, it's crazy. I'd never come across a game before where you run forward and you have to pass backwards. Everything I'd played up until then, you play soccer, you play basketball, you're playing for space. And you're throwing the ball around.
Amazing, absolutely brilliant.
You're moving into space. In rugby, you just couldn't do that.
And time as well. I mean, it is absolutely brilliant stuff. Kev, let's have a look at football. It's a bit of a different weekend because we're not in our Premier League comfort zone this weekend, but we've still got a lot of games to look forward to. But we've got this one thing that's looming over us, and it shuts on Monday night. It's called the transfer window, and it brings all the madness with it, doesn't it?
Yes, it's. I still think there's going to be a right few twists and turns, Pete, in this transfer window, because there's a couple of teams. One in Newcastle and one in London, our teams, who need to do some business. They need to do some business, and they need to get more quality into the club. So I think there's going to be some exciting times. We're going to be watching the clock, as we usually do. And there's going to be loads of podcasts. I've been asked about 20 times already to come on each podcast.
Your WhatsApp's going to be on fire.
Listen, it's crazy, man, to come on and do a little slot. So I'm going to try and do as many as I can, and obviously see how things go by the half an hour.
Even without the imminent arrival of Bruno from Lille to Newcastle, I believe that's taking place as we speak with medicals and such. Even without that, here's a stat for you, Kev, that Newcastle have already spent more this transfer window than Mike Ashley has in 16 years.
Well, I'm not surprised at that, Pete. I'm not surprised at that, considering who your owners are now.
Yeah.
But you know as well as I do that Newcastle Football Club has been neglected in that side of things. Yep. So really, Newcastle are playing catch up, aren't they? You're having to catch this thing up, so you have to throw a bit of money at it. So that's what has to happen.
Let's see. Now, Victor, you said, we talked about it, you're literally thrown into rugby, but you fell in love with it, didn't you? And, as all sportsmen, me aside, and I'm quite safe in saying this, we're having you two ledgers on, as all sportsmen are bloody brilliant at what they do. By the time you'd left Oxford, you'd got it in your head that you wanted to play for England, and that was your target, right?
Yeah, yes, it was. I mean, at school, I learned the rules, played for England schools. It ended up to university, and in the final term, I played for England B team as well. So the only thing that eluded me was a full England cap, and the choice was to sort of follow the rest of the Blues into the city, going to banking and earn pots and pots of cash. But I didn't want to look back in, say, 50 years' time and think, what if? Was I ever good enough? So I set myself a target of 3 years. I've got 3 years to try and get an England cap, and for me to do that, it meant to join the best club in the country. It was Gareth Chilcote, Graham Dorr, and Richard Lee. Gareth and Graham were playing for the full England team. Richard Lee was playing for the England B team. And that was the reason I joined Bath. And I knew that if I could break into that Bath front row, then an England cap would follow. Because most of the players in Bath, it was a proven path. I mean, they had 14 internationals in the starting lineup. They were the best team around, and it was an amazing place, to play rugby. Life at Bath rugby was absolutely awesome at that time. Over that sort of 11 seasons, the players, the fans,
beautiful city as well.
Yeah. It's a great spot. It is the best ground. I mean, you arrive and it's right in the heart of the city. Yeah. And the city was buzzing every time Bath played at home. It was an absolutely, truly special place. It's full of some great memories. I loved it at Bath.
I love that you had that plateau though, that you knew what your journey was going to be, and it was each step of the way you could tick something off. Absolutely fascinating. Kev, speaking of steps on the way, it's all change at Watford again. They love a manager there, don't they?
Listen, the egg timer's gone off, innit? So they changed the manager. Listen, but Roy Hodgson coming in. We know Roy Hodgson's a safe pair of hands, Pete.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to perform miracles at that club to get them going, because it's been terrible. Ranieri, he's had no chance really, because there's been infighting going on, and we know what happens with the owners. If they smell anything from the dressing room that ain't right, they're going to get rid of you. So hopefully Roy Hodgson could stay until the end of the season.
But it's a crazy scenario, and my heart went out to Ranieri, because as he always does, what a dignified man. All the press sort of, he pulled over in his car there on his way out. He'd just been to collect his stuff, and he has a word for everyone. You don't like to. I love Watford as a club. I remember, great names like Graham Taylor at Elton John's club, and George Riley was there, the cup run. And Watford are a great club, but they're becoming this club now where people are they ridicule them for this constant change and a quick success find, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, what people have to understand is Watford have to try and do whatever they need to do to stay in the Premier League. I think trying to get consistency is their problem, because they're not blessed with loads of money. No. So what they have to do is they have to try and make it work on the coaching, on the coaching pitches, etc., to try and get results. Now, if they feel that there's an opportunity that they're not going to stay in the Premier League, they're going to pull the trigger, Pete. They're not going to mess around. They need to stay in that Premier League. And the best chance they got, as far as they felt, was to get rid of Claudio Ranieri, who's a lovely man, and to bring in somebody who they feel could keep them up, because that's the name of the game. It's so lucrative to stay in the Premier League.
It's a must, isn't it? As we all know. Okay, Victor. So we touched on England. Out of the caps that you got, and this is literally putting you on a spot, but I'm dying to know. Have you got a favourite England highlight that just stands out for you personally?
Well, can you remember my one and only try against Wales at the Ellis Park? Well, then you'll remember my 80-yard dash at the try line.
Yeah,
ducking and diving past the likes of Craig and Scott Grinnell, scoring past Neil Jenkins. Been erged up by Jerry, Jason, Martin Johnson, changing gear, flying past Aaron Evans and touching down through the posts.
But no, joking aside, people, with that prop position, people were like, yeah, brilliant, what a legend. But you had speed as well. People that tend to sort of catch people, didn't it?
Yeah. I was quite fast. I was quite strong. I actually started out on the wing when I first came over, and because it just winding back a little. Yeah. After I got sent in, I didn't go back out and play rugby again for the rest of that term. I ended up playing table tennis, which was indoors in the warmth with all the Asian kids, and it was fantastic. it was essentially a boys' school. There were a few girls that were there, and there was this one particular girl that I took a fancy to.
Okay.
And I realized that she hung out with all the rugby boys. So I thought, right, I know what I've got to do. I've got to get into that team. so the following season, the following year, at 14, I said, right, guys, I've got to play this game. And they said, right, come and play. I said, I don't know the rules. Just tell me, just put me in a position where I'm going to cause the least disruption. So they said, okay, fine, we'll put you on the wing, but you're quite quick. I said, great. So what do I do? Okay, when you get the ball, just run as fast as you can and touch it down there. I said, okay, sure, I can do that. I score 3 or 4 tries every game.
Brilliant. Simple game.
Yeah. And got the girl.
Yeah,
I was going to say, yeah.
That's what I was waiting for.
Never mind the tries.
Never mind.
Not bothered about the tries. Brilliant stuff. Absolutely brilliant. Kev, back to this window on Monday then. I mean, we're joking about it. It's just nice for Newcastle to be actually talked about and involved in it. But your club Arsenal as well, as we've said, it's pivotal for them. I think that reading between the lines, for the coach, and whilst it's a project and he's getting there, it would really help, wouldn't it? It'd be a real boost to get a couple of names in before Monday.
Yeah, Arsenal need it. Look, Arsenal have had this transitional period going on. The regeneration of the playing side. And you saw that with the last window, with bringing in all those players who, much maligned, by the way, a lot of the Arsenal fans weren't sure about Ramsdale coming in, Tommy Arsu, Ben White and all these guys, but they've proven that they can do a job. Now, they've got rid of kind of the periphery players who weren't good enough over the seasons to help the team. But it's left the squad really thin, thin. So there needs to be a couple of players that come in. Minimum, I think, Pete, Arsenal need 8 players, but they're not going to get 8 players in. If they can get 2 or 3 in right now, then Arsenal will be in a lot stronger position. Like
everyone says, though, Kev, just to wrap it up on the old transfer front, this January window, it's a real challenge, isn't it? Because you've got the likes of, we were joking about it before. Obviously, Newcastle United, when they come knocking on the door, the price goes up straight away just because of the ownership. But of course, there's other things. This window has gone so quickly for fans who need players, because before you look at it, wow, how's it the 29th already? Oh, we've only got 2 players in. I mean, it literally is a real challenge during January, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and that's why the summer transfer window is so much easier, because you've got such a longer time span to negotiate. You have your plans, you have your plan A, plan B, plan C, whatever, and you could utilize that time. But because it's so condensed, and you've got certain games as well, it just puts extra pressure on everybody inside the football club. So if you've signed 2 players already, if you get another couple in, I think you've had a good window. Arsenal, believe it or not, have signed 2 players, 1 goalkeeper and a young lad for the future. But it's the first team where they need the bodies. So another couple, and I think they'll be all right.
A couple of shout outs. Ben Shields in the house. Ben, lovely to have you with us. I hope it's I was chatting to him the other day, and he's in the tune. So he'll be missing not going to the game today. Hope it's not too cold for you back in UK. Lovely to have him along. Okay, back up to Victor. Victor, now I wanted to touch on something which is prevalent in all sport, but also, in your sport as well. And it's racism in sport, just something that we can't seem to shake. Now, I read, about what you said, and it's absolutely spot on. All the authorities in any sport as well, I'm talking about, as well as rugby, making the right noises about tackling this ugly, unacceptable issue. But it's another thing acting on it. So since you said that in March of last year, Victor, has anything happened along those lines?
Yes, it has. I mean, let's talk about the RFU. I mean, there's a new chair who's come in last August, Tommy Lube, a black man from Nigeria. Right. There's also an independent diversity and inclusion advisory board which is chaired by Ugomonye, former England and Lions and Harlequins player, alongside Vice Chair Giselle Mather. She's an ex-England player and current Wasps Ladies Director of Rugby. It's been established to support the RFU with its goal of driving rugby union in England to reflect the diversity in society. I mean, Tommy Lube has set out an ambitious plan to transform English rugby. So I think they're doing something about it. And in summary, we need more diversity in leadership teams across all institutions. That's what's going to make the change.
Absolutely. Kev, we're talking about sport in general, this horrible issue that we have to bring up, but it has to be brought up, whether it's football, whether it's cricket, as we've had recently, or indeed, Victor's love of rugby.
Pete, you know how strongly I feel about it. Great that Victor spoke up and told it how it is, because especially when you are in it, you have to tell it like it is. The key is about anything. It's not what you say, it's what you do. And rugby are kind of leading the way in putting people in place to reflect society. It's funny how football we've had social media blocks and all this kind of thing, but nothing changes, Pete. Yeah. Nothing has changed in football. So maybe football needs to take a look at rugby and say, do you know what? Rugby have led the way in quite a few things, like the video referees and stuff like that. Rugby has led the way. And, football maybe needs to take a leaf out of rugby's book, if we're honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Staying with football and with you, Kev, we're at the quarterfinals of the African nations. Now, again, something I wanted to touch on with you. There's some great games, by the way. We've had some great games. It took a while to warm up, as Ali Khaled said with us a while back. It did take, but now we're at the business end, quarterfinals. We've got Gambia and Cameroon to look forward to. Cracking game. Unfancied Burkina Faso as well, who've come a long, long way. So all in all, it's a great tournament. But again, what I wanted to ask you is, with the world's leading players, some of the best players in the world, on a plateau in this amazing tournament, surely it should now get the credit that it deserves, but it still doesn't.
No, Pete, it doesn't, because it's always been played during the season.
Yeah,
it's never. It's always been seen as an afterthought. If we're honest, Pete, it's an afterthought, and we're losing certain players to go to AFCON, where the European Championship, etc., happens at the end of the season. AFCON can't happen at the end of the season. I'm not sure why it can't happen, Pete, but it tends to happen that way. But there should be, and again, this comes up as part of the respect and to reflect society and to give the African nations the respect that they deserve, Pete.
Sure.
But it never tends to happen that way. And it should happen so, until they can sort out that calendar, Pete. Maybe that's the only way it gets the respect it deserves.
And for the first time, the World Cup might just sort of witness the same feeling, because if it involves with the big leagues, and I'm talking Premier League, Bundesliga, it doesn't matter what's on offer. If it's seen as an interruption to the money magnets and the biggest leagues in the world, it's going to get short shrift, isn't it?
But Pete, you think about it, it's going to get a short shrift, but the World Cup's going to be during the season, and they shut the leagues down.
Yep. So there you go.
So why doesn't the AFCON shut the league down?
Question for everyone. Let's get them on, Kev. Let's get them on.
There you go. They'll be running scared. They'll be running scared. Because we'll give it to Victor on the wing, and they won't want to tackle him.
And he always gets the girl, by the way.
He gets the girl at the end. Yeah.
And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Now, listen, Victor, speaking of World Cups and travelling, tell us about VU Limited, because it fascinates me. Literally, when you click on it, caters for people for the love of sport, music, and cars. Are you literally just living the dream and organising the perfect experiences?
Yes, I am. I mean, I was asked when I retired from rugby. So, what do you want to do? I said, well, I'm going to travel the world. I want to watch sport. I want to go diving. I want to do things that I enjoy, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, we specialize in providing sort of top-end experiences to sports and music events globally.
Yeah.
It can be the upcoming Six Nations, the World Cup in Qatar, the Masters, tennis at Wimbledon. Yeah, anything you want to do, we can bespoke most events to to suit your needs.
I can sense my dad now. Kevin texted me, going, "Get us on the Wimbledon." He's always wanted to go Wimbledon.
Brilliant.
It's amazing.
Basically, mate, if you want to plan some fun, I'm your man.
I'm your man.
I'm your man. When you plan some fun, get in touch.
That's it. It's incredible. I would love, you know what, just to take, and people have to do that. You know, in this time where travel hasn't been available, and as Victor said before we went on, rightly enough, with events starting back up, we got the Desert Classic on in Dubai this weekend. Now's the time for people to do it. So as he says, Victor's your man. Tell them I sent you. You mentioned music in that, Victor. You got a passion of music yourself, haven't you?
Yes, I used to frequent the garden when I lived in London. I loved opera, and I loved going to the theatre. Especially now, I've got a young family. My daughter loves the theatre, so we spend quite at least once a month we'll go to a show in London. Yeah, it's you've got to do it. You've got to do it whilst you're living. Life's too short. You've got to go out there and experience it all. Don't put it forward. Do it now. If you can do it now.
That's right.
Best bib and tucker, Victor, as well, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah, I can see that. Brilliant. Okay, now speaking of well, Kev, I've got to come back to you, and staying in North London, but stay with your dear rivals. We don't like to mention them on this show, but I'd actually wanted, on a serious note, the opinion, because it's starting to build. It's this scenario that happens with Tottenham from an outsider looking in as well, whereby they get a great manager. They've got Harry Kane. They've got this fantastic stadium. No qualms, no queries about that. Absolutely brilliant. But then there's just something missing. And he's gone into his first transfer window. And let's be real about it, Kev. The only way he came back to Spurs was that if he was going to be promised to be able to dabble. And lo and behold, his first guy he's gone off to Barcelona. Traore.
Pete, it doesn't look really good for Antonio Conte. He's been brought in to try and move the club forward. And, he's only signed 18 months. I think that's what people have to realize as well. He signed 18 months probably to see and feel how it's going to work out. He's probably not going to be happy with how things are working out, Pete. But ultimately, it's down to the player. And, Traore was a Barcelona player before, wasn't he? He was there when he was younger. And, he's come and he's made a name for himself at Wolves. And when you actually weigh up London, Barcelona, sunshine, the beach at Barcelona, it's a team there that need him more than Spurs need him, if we're honest.
Because they offered more money as well, Spurs, but it's obviously not all about that.
Exactly. Barcelona probably need him more, and probably he's got nice memories of being at Barcelona. So, for him, he chose Barcelona, but that's going to be very frustrating for Antonio Conte.
Absolutely. Watch this space, because if it doesn't happen on Monday, that's the thing, isn't it? The pressure going into that final day for all the clubs, and because the fans will be kicking off left, right, and we haven't signed anyone. Good luck to Andy Carroll, by the way. Big Andy, he signed for West Brom, your old team, Kev.
Yes.
Great target man, and still now. So all the best to the Gates at Raji from me. Okay. Victor, I've been a plethora of stories, I'm sure, but there's one that I I was veering towards, and it's a liaison with Gareth Chilcott, someone that you mentioned prior. Can you tell us? Bearing in mind we are a family channel, but I think it's too good not to hear.
Yeah, I mean it was great fun playing with playing in the front row with Coochie and Graham Dorr. I mean, I throw in your cheap shot here and there, and then retreat behind them because no one ever messed with them.
Brilliant.
You know? But I tell you one situation you never want to find yourself in,
Go on.
and that is handcuffed, 2-hour Chilcott in a nightclub on the Bath Rugby Tour in Brisbane.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Oh.
this was following my first England tour to Argentina in 1990. I was on the bench for the 2 tests. I didn't achieve my dream of a cap. I went straight from Argentina to Australia to join the Bath Rugby Tour. With all that pent-up frustration, I lost the plot with the boys over a silly incident. And in the kangaroo court that followed, my punishment was to be handcuffed to Coochie for the night. So we arrived at the club, and all Coochie was interested in doing was drinking with all the old boys, John Hall, Stuart Barnes, Damien Cronin. On the other side of the nightclub, I could see my 2 brothers, Steve Ojomo and Ade Adebayo, with 3 of the most beautiful Aussie birds. Now, negotiating with Cooch on how to handle the situation was not easy. But he finally agreed to an hour at the bar with the boys, and I'm paying.
Yes.
Followed by a few minutes with Addy and Steve. So
brilliant. Go on.
We did the hour at the bar with the boys, and then sort of twinkle-toed across the dance floor to go and join Addy and Oj. So 10 minutes later, Addy and Oj moved on to the dance floor with 2 of the girls, leaving just Keisha and I with the 3rd girl. So this didn't really leave me that much time to arrange a post-nightclub soiree. But a few tequila shots later, I didn't have much time. A few tequila shots later, she gave me that lingering glance.
And it was game on.
I knew what that glance meant. I glanced at Cooch. As you said, it's a family show, so the rest of our story will stay on tour.
Oh,
On tour, what? Yeah, absolutely, brilliant.
Hold on, did you get the pin out to undo the handcuff?
Unfortunately, not.
Oh no.
The boys wouldn't give you the pin. No chance. They wanted to see me suffer.
Get a hairpin. It's time.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Kevin brings us into baller of the week, but Victor's mine just for that alone, really.
That's baller of the week. That's baller.
Yeah, right there. Have you got? Go on.
My baller of the week. No, let's go Victor. Victor can say his baller of the week, and I'll do mine after.
Victor, have you got a sporting hero? Now, I've thrown it out this week because obviously we've got rugby in the house as well. So it can be any sport. Victor, have you got a hero, a Hollywood baller of the week for us?
My sporting hero is Pele.
Okay, that'll do.
When I was growing up, I absolutely worshipped him.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's just, isn't it amazing, Kevin, how many, it's just any walk of life, the great man. And I remember there was a video, giving my age away, it was on VHS, it wasn't quite on Betamax, but it was on VHS, and it was the Pele story. Mm-hmm. And it was something that you could just watch over and over again, all the way through to the goals he scored, the chipping it over, catching it on his chest, and just what an incredible legend,
icon, Pete. Not only a legend, he's an icon to so many, especially young black guys.
Yeah,
growing up, he's the best player in the world. For us, that was so important. Victor will probably tell you it's so important to see somebody that looks like you up there. It can help you and influence you to know that you can do it. It's so important.
Definitely. I mean, another one was obviously Muhammad Ali.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Those two for me were boom, right,
very top.
Yeah, and rightly so, right up there as well. Absolutely.
Very, very top.
Kev, what you got?
I've got my baller of the week. You mentioned him earlier, Pete.
Okay.
And he's much maligned. He used to play for the Toon, and now he's at Everton, and he's bagged a hat trick. I've got to say, Salomon Rondon,
Yeah.
all of a sudden he's found his shooting boots,
Mm.
which, do you know what, Pete? Sometimes it's difficult to scoring goals is difficult to do. Now he's bagged a hat trick. Hopefully, he'll go back to Everton a better player and feeling a lot more confident. And hopefully he could bag a couple of goals because Everton need it.
By the way, he was the difference at Newcastle. He was on when he played under Rafa as well at the Toon. He was on fire. The Geordie, the Gallagher loved him.
Yeah.
It's funny how it happens. We wish him well because he is. He's a great player. Amazing stuff. Okay, coming up to that time, I got to tell you, Kev. Got to tell you, it was funny because Victor said to me, you know that I'm not a football person. I said, it doesn't matter that you're not a football person,
Yeah.
Victor. I said, we're all in the same boat. Everyone beats everyone. It's that time. It's time for the DK Hot Sauce Premier League predictions, although it's not Premier League predictions this weekend because we don't have any PL.
It's just predictions.
Congratulations to Samantha. She walked it last week, 6 points, including 2 correct scores for Sam Shepherd. So she gets the hot sauce delivered from Danny Kwang in Dubai. So we'll package that up and get it on the way for you. Okay, so in the house today, we've got Junior Turner, legendary tune singer, whose Banks of the Tyne single, go and get it. Put him at number 1, please. We want to hear it at St. James's Park. Junior Turner's in the house. Scotty Shepherd's in as well as the victorious Samantha, and Lee Cosgrove from Manchester United, and my good self. As always, it's guests first. So get those lucky Camelot balls going, Victor. Give us a score for Ross County against Rangers. All the best.
I've never heard of Ross County. 1-1 draw.
1-1. Great. Good score. Great stuff. Kev, what you got?
You know what? Victor might be right. What has he got there? I tell you what. No, I'm gonna go. I think Rangers will win this pretty comfortably. I'm gonna go 3-1 Rangers.
Okay, I've gone 3-0 to the Blues of Glasgow. Junior's gone 2-1 to Rangers. Scotty's got 2-0 to the Gers. Sam's gone one better with 3-0 to them. And Lee Cosgrove's gone 2-1. Staying north of the border, the old enemy, Victor, we've got Celtic at home to Dundee United.
1-0 to Celtic.
1-0 to say, you know what? He's going to win this. You know,
I know. Can you feel it, Pete? I'm telling you.
I just know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Bookmark this spot on the show. Here we are, 38 minutes in. Bookmark it. Okay, Kev.
Pete, I'm going to go just one better than Victor. I'm going to go 2-0 Celtic.
Okay. I've got the same myself. So has Junior Turner. So has Scotty. Samantha's gone 1-0. And Lee's gone 2-0 as well. Popular score. Mm-hmm. Okay, back down to London, into the Championship with a team giving Victor a clue here because they're scoring goals for fun at the minute. And it's Fulham against Blackpool.
2-1. 2-1 to Blackpool.
2-1 to Blackpool. Okay, yeah. Super Kev.
I'm going to go 4-0 Fulham.
Okay, popular score or thereabouts. I've gone 4-1. To Fulham. Junior's gone 3-1 to Fulham. Scotty's got 4-1 also to Fulham. Sam has 3-0 to Fulham, and Lee rounds us up with 3-1. Okay, Bolton against Sunderland, Victor.
Yes, one football. I think I've got that one totally wrong by the sounds of things.
There's never a wrong shout in this game.
Sunderland to win that one, 1-0.
Okay, I'll just find the mute button. We don't like... You can't have... That's ruined the show. Okay.
You've killed him, Victor. I love it. You've killed him.
Got to say, though, all joke aside, Sunderland going well at the moment. Okay, Kev, Bolton, Sunderland.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 2-1 Sunderland. 2-1 Sunderland, yeah. Away win.
I can't, so I've gone 2-1 Bolton. Just not allowed, is it? Junior Turner's gone 2-1 to Sunderland. So has Scotty. Samantha's taken a 1-1 draw. And good old Lee Cosgrove's taken Bolton just round the corner from Manchester to win 2-1. Last up, and it's a very... now, It's a team dear to our hearts, Victor, who's been on the show, and it's Little South Shields up there in the northeast. But they've got a top of the table clash there in second, and they're playing top of the table Matlock Town. This one really is a lottery. So South Shields against Matlock.
2-1 to South Shields.
Good man, Kev.
3-1 South. 3-1 South Shields.
I've gone 2-1 to Shields. Jeff Thompson and all the boys, good luck to you all. Super Kevin Phillips is manager there. He's had his first win midweek. Massive crowds turning up, Kev, as well. They're getting 3,000, expecting more today.
Brilliant.
The bar's rocking, the ground's rocking. So good luck to Super Kev and Jeff and all the boys at South Shields. I've got 2-1. Junior's gone 1-0 to Shields. Scotty's got 2-1 to Shields. Samantha's taken a 0-0 draw, and Lee Cosgrove's taken 2-1 to South Shields as well. That's about it. That's brilliant. What a show it's been. It's been an absolute pleasure. Victor, just give us your website if we want to go on, and Kev and I are going to book that Masters trip, I think.
It's www.vultd.co.uk.
Brilliant. Get on there and get a life-changing trip planned. Victor will sort it all out for you. He's good like that. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Victor. Thanks so much. All we ask is that you come on in the future, the near future, hopefully, and join us again.
Sure, I'd love to. Thanks, Pete. It's been great. And Kev, good to meet you all.
Thanks for coming on, Victor. Cheers.
Cheers.
Kev, we'll catch up with you again next week. And hopefully we'll have news of who's joined who, the transfer window shut. And no doubt we'll be in touch this week. From me and Super Kev on Hollywood Ball Soccer Saturday.